Hello and welcome, everybody. Whew, I actually have not been on for 2 days. 2 days. Welcome. It's been 2 days since I've been on. It is Monday. It is a new moon, and I'm going to hold on. Don't go away because I'm printing stuff out. Of course, I only print things out at the last moment. And of course, you can't see me. You can only hear me. Whew, here I am. No worries. So thank you everybody for joining. Hi, Sila. Sherry and Amanda are here. So let me do some invites and get some people in. So welcome. I'm on a little later today. I had to go pick up my grandson this morning. So I had some errands first thing this morning. So I wasn't on here. I was out and about doing things. So today's a new moon, a beautiful new moon in Gemini. It's bringing in some interesting energies. I'm going to say interesting. And there's lots I want to go over and talk about. This weekend has been an awesome weekend. I was in Manville at the Shine event in Manville. There was a psychic fair there and market. It was really, I totally enjoyed it. I love going to Manville. I know some people think that's crazy, but it's the community, it's the people of connections that I make there that are absolutely fabulous. And that's what it's all about. It's really all about those connections that you establish when you go into a community. And that's one of the big things that I find when I go there. And they make me feel like family. And they embrace me. So which is really wonderful. So this new moon, oh boy. Where to start? Couple things. When driving, when I go, out of town, and when I get to do a lot of my stuff out, some of the stuff I do out of town, I get to go on my own. So in that, I get to listen for whatever I want to listen to. And it's usually podcasts. So I usually listen to podcasts, and the drives that I go on are anywhere from 3 hours to 5 hours out of town, and or sometimes longer. And it's podcasts. Like I just listen to different podcasts and listening. And what I found is that all the different podcasts that I listened to this weekend, they all had a very similar theme of the energies that were coming through. And this new moon, being a new moon in Gemini, being a very transformational time and a time of rewriting, where the theme that I found throughout all of these different podcasts and all of these different spiritual gurus and spiritual people and psychology people and sociology. So I was listening to Oprah, I was listening to Russell, I listened to Mind Valley. So there's all these different podcasts that I listen to. That's only 3 of them that I can remember off the top of my head. The information that kept on coming in is that we are coming into this huge awakening. And the bottom line, the bottom thing is, and this is where this new moon is really activating, because I think for the last 6 months, we've been going through a lot of confusion, especially with Mercury going through that retrograde that it went through in Pisces, and coming over Neptune and trying to figure things out, and very watery, and just all of that of getting information. And information is starting to come through. But we're looking at our story, and we're looking at the rewrites, and we're looking at what it is that we're rewriting, and how our story, because we all have a story. We all have a story, no matter what it is, no matter what we do. There's always a story. We're looking at this as script writers, as writers in our path, yet we're looking around at the world around us, and we're all, there's a hum. Now, whether here in Alberta, the economy is not good. I go up north and I see it. I see the economy is not doing well. We're an oil and gas province. We're run by oil and gas. Whether you like it or not, that's where a lot of the money comes from. So there's a lot of people who who are working but aren't working. Some, things are slowly slowing down within that industry. Changes are happening. Fear is there. Now you have other places where the economies are booming and the economy is doing really well and their pockets are being lined and they're feeling good and people are making money. But there's still a low volume anxiety. And this new moon being the twin, is bringing out two types of personalities that I'm seeing. Personality that's coming out that everything's fine, don't worry about it. Your world is good. If your world is good, don't worry about what's going on out there. It's okay, fine. This other part that's coming in and this new moon is bringing this energy in, is saying, really? Is it that good? And over the weekend and being with, other like-minded people, but I have to say I am I don't always mingle. I'm not a mingler to go and mingle with, and talk to this one and talk to that one. I really stay to myself. That's just part of who I am. But listening to those that went on stage when I could and hearing their story, and a few of them, and this is where it comes in, I don't watch the news because of that energy and that vibration and da 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 da. And they're saying I don't do this because of the energy and vibration because I don't want to get into it. But the second personality that's coming in, and this is what I find that is so vital, because it doesn't matter if the economy is doing well. Because in the United States, it's actually doing very well. But there's this underlying current. Now this current is coming in, and it's not only within the United States or North America, but it's in places like Europe, and it's coming in different and this is just this current. I just keep seeing these currents coming in. And what this current is that a change has to happen. Because it doesn't matter if your pocket is lined, if your pocket is doing well and you're doing okay and life is great. This current's coming in and saying, what about our community? How does that affect our community? How does that affect that person in the back of the line? If you're doing well, why should I worry about the person in the back when I'm doing okay? And this is where the conversation isn't happening. In Gemini new moon, I can feel this energy rising that's saying, we got to rewrite a new story, not only for ourselves, but for our world. The conversation has to start happening. And many people, because we have been raised to be polite, you think Canadians are polite. This politeness, hey, Tanya, is coming in, and it's like, but I don't want to offend anybody. And you know what? I'm doing well right now. And if I step out of this circle, if I step out of this energy field, what is that going to do for me? How is that going to affect me financially? How's that going to affect me and my family? If I'm stepping out and speaking, how is that going to affect me? That's where this energy and these news stories are coming in. And it's bringing in challenges. It's bringing in a lot of challenges throughout everywhere. Challenges where people don't want to talk. They will talk about it, but it's this low murmur. We don't want to cause waves. We don't want to offend. But this energy that's coming in, and looking at what truly matters, and especially with this Uranus in Taurus. Okay, Uranus in Taurus is going to be there for 7 years. They're going to be talking for this for a long time. And this connection to the semi-square with Neptune, it's very eerie, and it's going to be going on for a while because Uranus is wanting us to connect because Taurus energy is heavy. Uranus is electric. I want you to connect. I want you to wake the fuck up. And Neptune, being that dreamer, is up there, and it's like pulling us to say, look at things in a new way. Conversations have to be had. And sometimes we don't want to have them. will let things go by. Because if I start having those conversations, whatever it is. Now, how do you start having those conversations? Start finding out what are the laws that are being passed. How do those laws affect you? Now, I'm going to go through some of the abortion laws right now that are happening in the United States. How did they get to be that far? First of all, because now they're quite far. They're law. How did they get to be law and nobody knew it was happening? But now that they're law, now people are bitching. Where the fuck were you when they were starting to write it? Where were you when you're to go and educate yourself on what that law is so that you can write a petition, go up against it? Because the thing is that once it's there, now you have to dismantle it all. And that's the thing, is that we have allowed a lot of things to be there. And now we're like, oh my God, now we have to dismantle it? What does that mean to dismantle? What does that mean now that I have to go in and I have to now speak out? People are going to know, maybe, you know, and I'm a good Christian woman, and people are going to know that I, you know what, I am for women's rights, and that I have a right to say what goes on in my body. Big. But these are the conversations that are needing to be happened. This new moon in Gemini is I'm going to say it's like almost like this little starting of a revolution, starting of this energy that's coming in for us to reassess our values, to reassess in a new understanding of how we want our world. And we got to think that a lot of this energy too was very similar to the energies of 1939. Now, I'm not saying that it's negative. I'm not saying there's going to be a war, but what I'm saying is that a lot of people are shedding their old ways, shedding this down and awakening, and really awakening. And what I loved and I can't remember a lot of these, and I should have wrote them down, but I'm driving, of women standing up. And these are women that are white, middle class. And when you're white woman, if you're white anyways, if you're white in this world, that's an advantage. Whether you like to admit it or not, if you are white, you have a fucking advantage in this world. As a white woman, you even have an advantage in this world. But now that we have been being affected, the Me Too movement, our rights, our abortion rights, we're finally awakening. And this new moon in Gemini is awakening us even more. We're awakening to what other women of ethnic backgrounds have been feeling for thousands of years. But we are now just awakening in this last, I would say, 10 years or less. I'd say 5 years. We're awakening. We're realizing, we're seeing the oppressions that are going on. And this awakening and this new moon is really getting us to make things sacred, to bring in that creativity, to bring in that sacredness, to bring in, and it's not just for me to speak out, it's for other women of color to start speaking out too, more and more and more. But the very first thing that you see when you hear, so if there was, say if I was black or I'm a black woman and I'm speaking up like, oh my God, there she goes, the mad bitch, automatically. Where our thoughts go. This is where this change has to happen, and this underlying current that's coming in. And some of it we don't want to look at. We don't want to talk about it. We turn off the news. I don't want to hear that. And even though it's all negative, or we think, you know, because that's what sells, we know it's negative. But when you hear something and they're saying this is being implemented, then you turn around and you educate yourself, find out, okay, he said this. What does that mean? What does that law upgrading happening? But with the upgrading, we are putting more clarity and understanding, definitely. And it has to happen with a conversation. It has to. Conversations have to start. And conversations don't start where you maybe assemble 100 people. They start with your neighbor. They start with a connection. So it's funny. I'm just going to write Facebook kicked me out. Facebook kicked me out. So I'm going to have to reload this. This is funny.